Happy holidays and welcome to my channel Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly and tonight we're going to create a large shaker element on our scrapbooking page that's going to be playful and fun. We're going to be using the Snow Days Scrapbooking Workshop Kit, which is part of my Sparkle and Shine workshop. It has 6 pattern paper sheets that are double-sided, playful, snow-themed, winter-themed, and fun. It includes some coordinating cardstock and some extra specialty papers that are only found in the workshop kit. 4 additional pattern papers that are white on the back. Of course, the 12 by 12 sticker sheet, which is also in the Snowy Scenes paper, and then coordinating cardstock that comes right in the kit, as well as an additional Snow Days coordinating cardstock pack. I'm also adding some of our sequins, Snowflake Sequins, as well as some window sheets, because we're going to make a large, of course, snow globe shaker element. We're going to use the Snowy Wonder die set and stamp set. And I've shown in previous videos how the dies coordinate with the Snowy Scenes pattern paper, but we're actually going to be using them as stamp and die sets. So what I've done is I've created a 10 by 10 white willow piece on the Cricut with a circle cut out of it. And then I'm going to add a 7 by 7 piece of our acetate window sheets. I'm going to put that off to the side and let that dry really, really well before we start to work with it. And that's going to be the foundation of our shaker element, our large shaker element on our page. Now for the background, I'm going to gut a frame using the pattern paper, the triangle pattern paper that is the exclusive pattern paper to the workshop kit. I'm gutting it by cutting 1 inch to 11 inches all the way around so I can reserve the square for some other fun projects. Once I have that frame cut out, I'm going to cut out a 10 1/8 by 10 1/8 real red cardstock piece. Now, Poppy Parade comes in the coordinating cardstock, so you could also use Poppy Parade, but because I'm creating a 12-page workshop and I know I'm going to need more red, I'm actually using real red because I can get that in a single sheet package. Now, I wish that I would have created that background real red as a 10 1/4 by 10 1/4, because as you see later in the video, it gets pretty tight. I like the 1/8 inch border, but the 1/4 inch border is a lot nicer to be able to work with and to be able to get centered. Now I've sped up this portion of the video quite a bit because I'm putting foam tape all the way around. And then to create the shaker element, you want to create foam tape or add foam tape as close to the circle without peeking through the circle as you can, and make sure that there's no gaps in your foam tape because you're going to put the shaker snowflakes in the middle and you don't want them to move to the outer edges of that shaker element. You want them to stay in the middle. So you don't want to have any gaps in the foam tape. So it does take a little bit of a minute to go all the way around. Then we're going to fill in the background with even more foam tape so that the background doesn't bow in some places and pop up in other places. So it does take a minute and it does take quite a bit of foam tape. But you can use our foam tape strips, work really, really great. I'm actually just using up some random foam tape pieces that I've had in my stash. Now I created a really cute title on the Cricut that says "There's Snow Place Like Home." And I've used the offset tool to offset the background with Pool Party as well as real red. So I have real red, white, and Pool Party to create that title. Now I've added a 7 1/2 by 7 1/2 inch Pool Party to the base of the red. You definitely could have, and I should have, gutted that red, but I didn't. And then I have the negative space piece, from the background of the circle Cricut element. And I'm just going to tear off a couple pieces from the bottom to create a little snow underneath the window. So we're going to create the snow globe window. I want to have a little snow base, and I'm going to put some foam tape on the top piece. Now later in the video you're going to see that I add even more foam tape because I want to block off the ability of those snowflakes to fall down in the cracks. I really want them to be stopped so that they stay within the snow globe. So I fuss around with it just a little bit. I have to move it a little to the left so that the snow flows from the left to the right and doesn't just kind of chunk off at the end of the snow globe. This is such a fun thing to be able to add to pages. I've seen all kinds of fun shaker elements added to the pages. Probably one of the most that I've seen is leaf shakers, like in the fall, but I really love this snow globe. I've made a very large snow globe before. I think it was 2017 or 18 when we received a die cut snow globe right in our kit. And that was a really super fun thing to do also, but I didn't actually make it into a shaker. So of course, the star of this show is Waylon James. I promise you, we're going to be doing so much as a family over Christmas break. I'll be taking some of the pressure off of Waylon James. He's totally been my cute little subject through all of these winter and Christmas pages, but my older grandchildren and I are going skiing and snowboarding over the break. We're going to go tour the trees at the Capitol as a family. My husband's going with me, but for those of you that don't know, I don't do photos of my husband on YouTube. He's very, very private and he doesn't actually allow it. And so you guys get tons of my grandkids. I promise you that I do scrap my husband a lot in our pages at home. He's just very private, shy, and does not want his photos out there on YouTube, and I have to respect that. So I did actually want to put one of the photos inside the snow globe, and as I'm going along here, I was trying to decide what color of a base I wanted, and I pulled out the plaid 3D embossing folder, and I love it. I ended up making the base of the snow globe in espresso, and then embossing that with the plaid. Now my photos are not traditional sizes. They are 2.5 by 3.5, and then I have a 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 white photo mat, and then later on we're going to add a little bit of a pattern paper mat as well. But right now I'm pulling out all the dies that I think might make cute elements for under the shaker and over the shaker. So I make several different styles of the tree dies. I cut some of the trees out of pattern paper and then some out of the true side of garden green and some out of the light side of garden green. That's the wonderful thing about our cardstock being two-toned. It has a light side and a dark side. I also want to do some stamping on some cardstock and cut those pieces out with the dies as well. So I'm going to make some snowmen. I only actually use, I think, 2 snowmen in this particular layout, but since I have the stamps out, I'm going to go ahead and die cut quite a few of them in case I need those on future pages in this workshop. I'm using my Simply Chamois stamp chamois to wipe my stamps in between stamping so that I don't have to get my scrubber out and all of that. I will scrub my stamps at the end when I'm all done, but I love the Simply Chamois stamp chamois to be able to just wipe in between stamps. Now I'm also stamping about 4 of the penguins with the Memento Black. I only used 1 in this layout. I'm just getting them out. Since I'm getting them out, I'm just using full advantage, using them as much as I can. So now I'm going to pull out some of the snowflakes. I'm first thinking that I might stamp those on white. Then I'm thinking that I might stamp stamp those in Pool Party on white, and then I actually end up deciding to stamp them in Pool Party directly on my page on the Pool Party background. But I'm actually just making sure that the dies coordinate, thinking originally that I'm going to cut those out with the dies, but I end up not needing to cut them out with the dies because I stamp them directly on the page. I decide to make a couple snowman hats just in case I want to have the snowman hat on the snowman, and I will fussy cut the hats out. I will use the dies to cut out the snowman, the penguin, and then I am going to grab that Pool Party, practice a little bit here on Pool Party. So I'm going to stamp Pool Party on Pool Party and see what I think. And originally, I think I'm going to die cut those out and pop those up. One of the reasons I decide to stamp directly on the page is I don't want another bumpy item inside the snow globe that the snowflakes will get caught on. I want them to be able to shake freely. So here you can see that I'm just going to stamp several of those. I put all 3 sizes of snowflakes on one block, and I'm just kind of rotating my block and stamping Pool Party snowflakes all over in the background. Some of those will be covered and some of those won't, but once I put the snow globe front over the top, it'll be super cute to have those in the background. Now, I notice I'm missing a foof stamp that I used on a previous video, and it was driving me crazy. I can't find it anywhere, so I actually pulled out a different falling snow stamp, and I'm stamping in the background. But obviously you will use the little snow foof stamp, and I'm stamping some of these in 2nd generation where I'm stamping off on scrap paper, and some of them I'm stamping in whole strength. Now I decide I want a couple little houses, and I first stamp those in Memento Black on real red cardstock, and then I decide I don't really like that look very well, and I decide to stamp some early espresso and real red houses on white cardstock and then cut those out with the die. I only actually used 2 espresso houses and 1 real red house, but I'm again stamping extra because I'm going to be stretching this workshop kit into a 12-page workshop. So you can create this workshop as is, as the company designed it, in a 6-page company workshop. I've also created a 10-page Simply Scrappin' workshop, and now, as you can see, I'm finishing the 12-page Sparkle and Shine. So real soon here, I'll be doing a 1 paper line, 3 ways, 28-page scrapbooking workshop share for snowy scenes and snow days. Now, there's hardly any coloring to do on these, and it's really teeny tiny coloring. So I just pulled out my Stampin' Write markers instead of my Stampin' Blends. I'm going to use pumpkin pie on the nose and the feet of the penguin and the nose of the snowman. I do try to color in the windows of the house in yellow, which I think I chose Daffodil Delight, and then coloring in the door espresso, and I didn't like it. So I just tossed that aside and I just leave those white. I end up liking the white, and I think it's a really nice contrast to the snowflakes in the background, and so I just scrapped that. So the only marker you actually need is the pumpkin pie for the noses of the snowman and the little nose and the feet of the penguin. And it's such a teeny tiny amount. You could use colored pencils, you could use tri-blends, you could use she-hands, you can use your Stampin' Blends, you can use your Stampin' Writes. So now I decide to add a 3x4 photo mat of that exclusive pattern paper in the back to pull in some green. Here's where I add more foam tape underneath the snow, the torn snow, because I don't want the loose snowflakes to all gather up under the snow. I want them to shake all on top of the elements inside the big shaker window. So I'm just making sure it's really secure. And then when I get the photo where I want the photo to go, I will actually adhere the snow down really tightly to the photo as well. So this was Waylon James and I at home this week, and he and I were stuck indoors. And if you know Waylon James, he is an outdoor kid all the way. And I typically go on adventures with him, even if it's just to the park, or we ride his trike in the garage, or we go on little adventures in nearby towns or to the city, because it keeps him busy and it's really fun for me. And this day was so cold. There was no way we were going outside. And so we were stuck inside. So he helped me make some peanut butter balls, and we played some games. He likes to play Sneaky Snacky Squirrel, and he likes to play Diggity Dog. So we played games, and then he spent quite a bit of time rearranging Grandma's tree. There are some deer ornaments, and he felt like the deer should be together on the tree because he wanted them to play together. And so he spent a lot of time rearranging the tree. I'm really hoping when the kids come, and then when I have the grandkids, that I can get all the grandkids in front of the house, in front of the tree, and finish out this layout and make it into a 2-page. I have a tendency to pick on Waylon James a lot because I have him the most. He's here the most, and I get most of the photo opportunities with him. 3 of my granddaughters live 4.5 hours away, but I think their mom, my daughter, is going to send me pictures of them in front of their tree. And then our oldest son and his 4 children are local, and I can get some pictures of them as well. They're just older and they're busy and they're not here quite as much. I did have Claire Adeline here this weekend, and I got lots of pictures of her crafting, and I forgot to get a picture of her in front of the tree. So as you can see, I arranged all those little icons that I made and made a cute little scene. I put the little hat on top of the snowman. I added a couple of the pattern paper trees, and then one of the light garden green trees, and then a taller garden green tree, and a couple little homes. Now I know that one of the homes is only going to show about half of the house off to the right, and I'm okay with that because I'm just kind of creating a scene that falls off of the edge of the page and is going to be covered by the snow globe. Now I'm just making quite a few little dots with some of the fine tip glue that I love. It's my all-time favorite. It's a precision glue, and I've made little dots all over in the background, and I'm using my Pick It Up tool, which I also love, to pick up all of these. I think they're kind of like, they feel rubbery, but they're kind of acrylic. They're not really acrylic. They're kind of rubbery, but they're oh gosh, I just don't know what they're made out of, but they pick up really well with the Pick It Up tool. And they're actually called white loose snowflakes. So it doesn't really say what they're made out of, but they feel kind of like not completely acrylic to me, kind of rubbery. So I'm just kind of holding those down. I'm picking those up with there's a goopy tip to the Pick It Up tool that you can squeeze out, and you can get replacement parts for it. So you can get replacement tips with the goop in it. And I'm just kind of putting those in different places randomly, and then I'm putting the globe over the top to see if I'm getting happy, if I need more, or if I need less. Now you're probably thinking, why are you adhering some of the snowflakes down if this is going to be a shaker? The reason is it ensures that some of those pieces are suspended, and they'll be really cute in the background, that no matter where the loose elements shake to or fall to, there will still be some suspended elements, and it'll be super cute. So I want some of those that are adhered and suspended, and then some of those that are going to be added and they're going to be loose. So I'm just kind of checking out, like with placement, my photo, and now I'm going to sprinkle away. We get lots of them in the container, so I'm going to sprinkle a whole bunch of those under underneath that fun shaker element. It's getting so playful and so fun. I love it. So now that I have those on there, this is the tricky part. I'm going to take the backing off of all of the foam tape. I get it on pretty well, but I have a little teeny tiny bit of more real red over to the right than I do to the left. So this is why I feel like it would have been better to have a 10¼ by 10¼ real red background piece. I am able to pull a Kelly, take that whole thing off, and like take off not even an eighth, like just a hair of a little bit off of the right because it bugs me. Now, could I have left it alone? It isn't horrible. I could have left it alone, but that little edge being a little bit more on the right than on the left was bothering me. So, I mean, I literally took a hair of a hair off just to make it look even. I do think it would look a little bit better with a little tiny bit more red. So look how fun that shaker element is. And so you may have to push down a few of those. A few of the snowflakes are like going up and down, and you can just, they're rubbery, so you can just kind of pop those down into place. And look how fun that is. I love that. So usually in my 12-page workshops, I like to have just one layout that's way over the top, that has really large Cricut elements or something that's unique and new that I've never tried before. It's my opportunity to experiment because I have 10 other pages to make into a normal style layout. I love going over the top, or really far over the top, even though all of the sparkle and shine pages are more elevated, because it means there might be stamping, there might be Cricut cuts, there might be die cuts, there might be specialty paper, there might be added bling. It's my opportunity to add all the things, right? But then I have one that I go even more over the top with, that I get to just be a kid, or I just get to, go all out. And it kind of has been my routine since like 2017 to have one layout that's really over the top and have 5 layouts, 5 2-page layouts that are just elevated. And so it's been really fun, and this is what I get to do, is I get to create this really super fun background. And I would not go all out like this on every single page. We don't have that kind of time, and that's why I also use my Simply Scrappin' workshops for many of my themes, because most people don't have time to just go way overboard on every page. And this one, actually, it took me longer because I had to figure things out. But now that I've figured things out, I don't think it would really be too hard or take too much time to do. It's just knowing exactly how to work it out and how to work out the sizes. And that's why I'm the guinea pig, and I'm doing that for you. So up here on theirs, I really envision using a couple more of those trees, maybe a cute little penguin peeking out, and just making a little scene up there to tie in the green. I want to use a lot more green and a lot more pool party in this one. I've been using a ton of red with kind of like the sister product for this. The sister product for this is Snowy Scenes. So there's Snowy Scenes pattern paper and sticker sheet, which has a little bit more pattern paper than the workshop kit does, but then it does not have the specialty paper like the workshop kit does. And so I've been using a lot of red, traditional red, and I really like bringing out the pool party in this and the garden green in this. It makes it feel more like snow and winter and a little less like Christmas, although I used a Christmas photo. But you could very easily use sledding photos, skiing photos, scenery photos, maybe a sleigh ride, maybe just a snowy walk. Maybe your house. I love taking pictures of the house in the wintertime when it has icicles off the house and little snow mounds in the front. And then I have little decorations, Christmas decorations, and porch pot outside. And there's, just something about documenting the house over the seasons. So now I'm making a few little dovetailed banners up at the top. I like to fold them in half and snip them in a corner to make the pattern paper dovetail pieces. Some people call them notches, but I call them dovetails. But then, of course, I get a wonky one with the pool party, and I have to cut that one over. So it's cutting about a 1/2 inch up in the center and then cutting on a diagonal from side to side. But if you want to know the dovetailed pieces, the stripe is about 2.5 by about 1, and then the green pattern paper is 2 by 3/4, and then the pool party cardstock is about 3/4 by a 1/2 inch. And I'm happy with that little element up there just to add a little bit of that peppermint stripe. I love that stripe paper, and I would go for like 10 sheets of that. I love it so much. Now I've just typed out my journaling on Word and printed that on cardstock, and I'm pulling it apart. Now I could have typed it all together in one chunk, but I kind of felt like it looked better in strips. And I just talked about how Waylon James and I were stuck at home during the very, very cold weather in December, and he was a super big helper. We played games, we made peanut butter balls together, and he had fun rearranging the tree, and he particularly felt that the deer should be playing with each other side by side, so he moved all the deer that he could reach on the tree and put them together in pairs. He's such an animal lover. And I said at the end, there is just no place like home. We make our own fun, and I'm getting happy. I added that sticker tree, those 2 sticker trees to the front. I added another little snowman. I didn't give him a hat. I added some of the peppermint adhesives, and I love it. It's so fun. It's so playful. It's festive, and I hope that you really enjoyed adding this oversized shaker element to our scrapbooking page. I hope you'll give that a try. It's super easy to do once you get your pattern figured out, and I will link all that I used in this in the description, and I will also link the design space file that I used to make that particular snow globe. Thank you so much for watching. Happy holidays, and won't you come back soon for more tips, tricks, and scrapbooking layout process videos right here on Snips by Kelly.